Hey everybody, welcome to the rundown. Let's get it. S&P 500 is finding support. The 5 SMA. It's got a bullish posture. We have the 150 and the 20-day moving higher, making new highs. If we do pull back, we want to retest this area here at around 55,654. Okay, so right now we're looking bullish though on the S&P 500. Next up is Bitcoin. The Bitcoin futures running into some resistance at 65,978. We got support, the 5 SMA coming up. We got the 150 coming also to support. We got the 20 down around the 200 heading up also. So right now Bitcoin is looking bullish, and we want to see see these moving averages continue higher to help support. Bitcoin needs to retest or get above this 65,978 area and get a nice close above that, and then come back and retest this 72 area here, which was the high. 72329 looks like. Actually, let's do the very high of 73380. Bitcoin's high. Alright, so we want to get above here and retest that, but right now we're looking bullish on Bitcoin futures. Bitcoin USD also looking bullish. We got the moving averages pointing up. We got it hitting some resistance at 65,977. We need to get above that and retest the previous highs of 73286. .89. Alright, so we want to get back and retest that high on Bitcoin USD. Next up is crude oil. Light sweet crude oil futures are, as you can see, in a downtrend. They're respected in this 20-day moving average. We got the 150 folded over, also showing the downtrend, and we got the 200-day here. And once that rolls over, we know we're definitely in a downtrend. But because we're below the 200-day moving average, it's considered being in a down market. So the light sweet crude oil is bearish and heading down. Next up is the E-mini S&P 500 index futures. As we can see, it made a new high here, gapped up here. So we're going to probably want to come back, retest that, and maybe come back and close this window, and then continue on higher. Right now it's looking bullish. Got the 200 a day, we got the 150, and we got the 20 all pointing up. So any pullbacks are definitely buying areas at this time. Next up is the Ethereum futures. And Ethereum futures, we found some support at 2621.8. We got the 5 SMA coming up showing support. We got the 20 curling over. We got the resistance of the 150 coming down. And then we also have this 200 that's going to act as resistance also as it starts to roll over as it starts to move higher. So our next stop is going to be this area here, which is going to be 2868.5, the area of resistance. It's a light area of resistance because we had our gap down here. So we know we're going to have more resistance in this area because of the gap, but then in here, so we got this area here with that window opened up, and that window is a good indication of where we may be bouncing around, or we may come back to retest, or we may come back and mess around in that area because of there's buyers present in those areas. Definitely here where we gap down here, so we're going to need to go back and refill that before going lower, if we're going to go lower, or we may just continue higher. So look for the get above that area there at 2736, and then retest of 3027.2. And if we can get above that and keep running high, we go back and retest this high of 39805. But definitely be on the lookout for this area in here. This is going to be a little bit of a battle zone in here with these moving averages and this and these resistance areas coming up. Next up is going to be Ethereum USD. Same thing. We have the gap down in here, so we can get through this area and get up above it and start heading up. We'll retest this area of 3379.75. And if we can get above that, then we'll retest the highs of 3859. Next up is the gold, and gold continues to run higher and higher and higher. It's in a nice bullish trend. You got our 200, our 150, our 20, and our 5. So yeah, we can just buy the pullbacks on gold until all these, as long as it continues to keep pointing up, you know, as you can see here, we went up here, pulled back, kept going higher, tested the 150, bounced up. Now it's back around the 20. Now the 20 is holding that support. So as long as these moving averages keep coming up and supporting, we should continue higher on gold. Natural gas futures are definitely in an uptrend as well. We got this high, previous high of 3.159. Okay, we're going to come up, retest that. Maybe get a little bit of pullback back into here where we had this support area here. Behave. Make that a 3 to show us support area. Okay. Support area, retest that high. Maybe come back and bounce through, or maybe we might blow straight through. But we're starting to get a little bit wide on our moving averages, so most likely we'll hit that pullback allow the moving averages to catch up and then push us higher. Okay, that's natural gas futures. Next up is the E-mini NASDAQ 100 Index Futures. Starting to get a little bit of a sell-off. We get our moving averages are getting separated. Our 150 is finally getting below the 20, so the 20 needs to come back up. So this is probably going to come back to retest this area in the 20, and then from there we may go start heading higher again. Right now we're bullish because we got our 200 day, which has been acting as support. Okay, we got our 5 SMA, which has been acting as support, which is starting to fail a little bit here, but that's okay. We got our 20 coming up to rescue the stock, and if the 20 doesn't hold, then we got our 150 coming up to rescue. So it's definitely a bullish looking trend for the E-mini NASDAQ 100 Index Futures. Looking for support in this area and then continuing higher. Next up is good old silver. Silver has been doing pretty good. It's surprising that it's, you know, not more expensive than it is, but that's just the way the silver is, I guess. Nobody. So that's silver at 33.02. Get that too high. Change that. 33.02 on silver. It's also bullish. So you can buy pullbacks as long as we're above the 200 and the 150 and the 20. If we go, as long as we're staying up in here, it's a buy on silver. So buy the pullbacks. Right now it's still bullish. Next up is the mini Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures, and we're running against some resistance here. Dotted line is I wasn't too sure how long that was going to hold, if it was going to hold. Of course, it in the past has probably tried this area already. Let's take a look and see. Nope, don't know why that dot's so long. Let's try 5 years. Just got a little more information. No, that's just it's like something I screwed up somehow. So we shall fix that. Make it right. Make it the way it should be, or I should say. Maybe I did one of these numbers duplicate. $43,005. Alright. So that is the mini Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures. As you can see, it ran up against some resistance at 43,000. We want to see it push higher. We're definitely in a bullish market. We got our 20 and 150 and our 200. We didn't get this sell-off here, and we just continued to push higher. Got a little bit of a gap here. I don't think it's going to matter much for that little bit of a gap. That little window open, it's not going to hurt much, and they want to come back and retest this area. But we're still in a bullish market on the Dow. So that's that on the Dow. Then we have the next up is Apple. And Apple has been doing this little dance in this area here, consolidating and kind of oscillating back and forth. So we want to get another retest of this high here, 233. And with our moving averages coming to act as support, they're kind of going a little flat here, so we could get a sell-off and maybe go higher after retesting this area, or we could open up green on tomorrow, the 30th, and just go higher from here. It remains to be seen, but we know we're definitely in this channel right now on Apple. So stay tuned for that to see where we're gonna actually, how it's actually gonna play out. Okay, so we either want to do this or we just want to just keep going higher here. We're definitely in this channel, in this range here between 214 and 233 at the moment. So watch out for that. We got a big gap between the moving averages, the 150, the 20, and the 5 in the 200 day. And so it's going to want to come back and say hello to this 200 day at some point. Way down here there's this window that opened up and hadn't been closed. That's still open. And that I'm not so sure it's something you have to worry about because it's so far down. And I believe that other than Apple just selling off and dropping off in a major way, I don't think it's going to work its way back down to close this window. So the only other way they could do it really, other than just selling off a bunch of stock, would be to do a split or something somewhere out here in the future. Okay, so some concern, but not a lot. I think Apple's going to continue to maybe go higher, retest these areas, and continue higher, and at some point in the future do a split that's going to take them down and fill this area. Okay, so that's Apple. Next up is AMC, and there's nothing to see here. We know AMC is highly manipulated, and we have no luck with that one. I'm stuck with a bunch of AMC, and I'm not going to sell. I'm going to just hold on to it and wait and see what happens with them. Maybe eventually somebody will finally sue all these. Maybe we'll figure out I don't know if it's sue, but maybe we'll figure out a way to recoup our losses for these backdoor deals that have been done against us in AMC and GME. Yeah, still holding on to my shares, so we'll see what happens with that. We got, let's see, AMD is starting to hit bullish. We're just not getting above our 200 day, which was acting as resistance. We want to see if it retests and for support. We got our 5 SMA that's been acting as the support movement. We got our 20-day crossing over the 150. We need that to run up and head up, and then we need those to cross over our 200. And then we know we're in a bullish market. But right now, in AMD, it's anybody game because we don't have any clear indication that we're bullish, other than, this green and this green. But that's a pretty healthy pullback. That's the length of this. So if we got that, then we're back down in here. But if we can continue on higher and come back and retest and get our moving averages to straighten out, then we know we're bullish and continuing higher. We got a window opened up here at $169.80, and we need to close it at, I don't know why I put that in there. I already have a line there. Cancel that, get rid of that. She's line I already got there. And remove drawing. Alright, and just make that one gray. So we got this window open here. It's about a $4 window. Okay, that we need to reconcile. So we'll probably go up here, close that, and maybe come back and retest. Might even get some movement around in here before going up to retest this area up here at 184. Okay, so that's AMD. We need to start looking bullish right now. We're not looking too bullish because of our moving averages are still kind of funky in here. So we can get all that to straighten itself out and continue higher when we're in an uptrend and looking pretty solid. But right now we definitely want to get this window closed up here around the 177 area, and then on to retest this 184, and then we'll see, where we're headed from there. Okay, so that's AMD. Next up is Amazon, and Amazon's pull back to retest this 188 area. We got our 20-day coming up. We got our 150 starting to curl up, and we got our 200 starting to curl as well to show that we're on an uptrend on Amazon. And we get that support area in here. We'll know on tomorrow, the 30th of September, if we're going to continue higher here. We already went back and closed this window that we had opened up over here, and we pushed up strong in order to close it too, and we even backfilled this window that got open just to prove that we are serious about going higher. So Amazon most likely is going to recheck this area and have a nice green bar heading up and tomorrow, or maybe even the next day, but the week coming up should be pretty good for Amazon. I think we're going to be steadily heading up on that one because our moving averages are going to be acting as support. As you can see right here, the 20 acted as support, the 200 was the support, the 5 was support, and our 150 was acting as resistance. Now it's starting to curl underneath to get into the support zone as well. So once we can get these all pointing up and heading that way, we know we're in a positive uptrend, and Amazon will be heading back to retest that 201 area. Alright, that's Amazon. Next up is AVGO Broadcom. Broadcom, I ran against some resistance here at 176, which was the previous high, and then it popped above it, but then it couldn't maintain it, and the next day it sold off and fell below it. We got our moving averages in the right area heading up, so we know we're in the bullish and we're in an uptrend. So the only thing we have to do is we got this window in here that opened up that was closed, but we know that that's a vacuum area. I'm going to call that vacuum, an area of vacuum down here that may pull it back into that area for a support zone. Okay, so we'd say some support around what's that, about 166. So we probably get a pullback to around 166 or so, somewhere in this area here. Okay, we're going to call that an area of support from now. Give it a 3 because not a major area that we or know of as of yet, but we have tested it a few times. Okay, so Monday morning when we open up, if we get another pullback, we might come down into here. We got a 20-day coming up to act as support. We got a 150 coming up to act as support. We're definitely in a bullish uptrend on Broadcom. Just look out for this day here when we open up on Monday, whether or not it's going to be a green or red bar. And then look for support in this area and look for some green bars to take us higher to retest this $185.16 area. After we get above that, and it's off to the races. Alright, that's next up is Cake, which is Cheesecake Factory. Ran into some resistance at $41.12. Nice big sell bar came in on Friday. Gonna have to expect that to follow through and maybe retest this area in here at $38. Maybe retest the 20-day moving average for support. Retest this 150 for support as well. So I'm looking for another red bar on Monday on Cake, and then maybe a green bar starting Tuesday. Or maybe you get a push down on Monday and then a bar that closes up above here and then a green bar. But definitely don't see it being green on Monday, but we'll see what happens. You never know. But we're definitely heading into an uptrend once these start to curl up. They're a little flat right now. We like to see them curling and going higher. Then we know we're for sure in an uptrend. And we'll be getting retesting that 41.12 area and trying to get above that. And then the next stop would be, looks like 45.20. Alright, that's Cake. Cheesecake Factory. Next up is Constellation Energy. As you can see, had a huge gap up. Okay, it's still going strong. We know this window has to be closed, reconciled. We're in an uptrend for sure. 200 is pointing up, 150, 20, and it's respecting the 5 at the moment. We had a couple of days of sell-off, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to pull back and close this window right away, because you know a lot of volume had to come in here to gap this area. Such a huge area too. From 209 to 233. That's at like a $21 gap, $21 window that opened up. That's a lot of volume coming in to gap that up. So it probably wants to continue going higher instead of coming back and closing that window right away. But you never know. Well, we do know that that needs to be reconciled. So at some point they're gonna need to close this window and quit letting all the heat out. Alright, that's Constellation Energy. Next up is Canopy Growth, which has found some support here at the 435 area, $4.35. It's got the 20-day coming down, acting as resistance. It's got the 150 coming down to also become resistance, and then the 200 coming down to act as resistance. So we want to see what happens in this area here. If the $4.35 continues to hold, maybe we get some consolidation down in here and then pushing higher, or maybe we can get the 5 SMA to stick with it and keep pushing it up through the 20, and then the 20 rolls around and act as support. Then we have to contend with the 150 and the 200 and this $6 area. But we definitely know we have this window open between 611 and 579. So, you know, 30-40 cent window, and that needs to be reconcile. So we're going to definitely at some point going to want to go back up and close that window before either going lower or going higher. And we got our DEA is supposed to forget if it's a vote or whatever, but something. DEA's got something to do on the December 5th, I believe, is the date for the scheduling of the marijuana or medical cannabis. And I think Kentucky or some other states have opened it up for medical use here recently also. So everybody's getting on board with marijuana. So marijuana, by the end of the year, heading into next year, should have the green light, and we should start seeing some of these banks start taking some of this money, and then the hedge funds will be able to start, start being able to buy them, the Fidelity and Black Rocks and all of the world, all those types of entities will be able to start adding them to their portfolios, and we should see marijuana finally get its day. Alright, next up is Chesapeake Energy. 200 day is acting as support here. It's barely getting up above it. The 5 SMA is chasing it. The 20 is way down here, and the 150 is way down here. So I would watch out for this one. It's definitely getting long in the tooth, and it's not. Once it gets up above this one here, it's not going to have anything to support it other than the weight of the buyers. And as you can see, the buyers are starting to wane, and the sellers are pushing down on it here. And it did run into some resistance here at 84.39, so I would be careful on this one. You may get a sell off in here that whacks it down, just on the strength that it's getting long in the tooth here, and it's getting, the moving averages are just way too spread out. And it's got resistance here, got resistance there, and if it can get above that, it's got resistance at $90. So be careful with Chesapeake Energy. Most of the energy stocks are actually starting to move a little bit, so it could have what it needs to continue higher. But I would just be careful with this one, because it's probably going to want to sell off and get these moving averages moving the way they need to be, because this 20 is way down here and the 150 is way down here. So if it continues going that way, it's going to lose its momentum at some point and fall off. And if it can wait for these guys before going higher, then it has a better chance of survival. But if it just continues to run up like that, then the likelihood of it pushing up and failing becomes greater. Next up is Chipotle. No, wait, I'm sorry. CME Group. And it's retesting. Well, it had a high here of 219, and it made a new high of 221.09. In which, of course, most new highs fail, right? Because it's a new high. And it took a lot to get there. So I pulled back, found some support in this area here. Yeah. At 212.70. Okay, and then I went back up to retest this high of 219. If we can get through 219 and retest a high of 221, we'll see what's going on. Right now, it's starting to look like it may work in the channel going. So, but it's definitely got the 20 support, the 5 SMA, and the 150 coming up for support. It's got the 200 and the 150 that's crossed over the 200. So if we get the 200 turning up, we definitely know we're in that bull trend, heading higher. And it's just all about retesting the highs and finding support. That's the CME group. Next up is CMG, Chipotle. Chipotle is waiting for this 150 to roll up and get above the 200. Got the 20-day support coming in. Ran into some resistance at around $59 or so. So we need to get above that $59 mark to continue higher and to get our moving averages heading in the right direction and in the right order. So we want our 5, 20, 150, and 200 pointing this way, taking us higher. But right now it's starting to look bullish, hasn't quite gotten there yet. So look for Chipotle to maybe we might get a bar lower on Monday and go higher, or we might just take off from where we are and just continue going higher. So look out for that. But definitely got some support from the moving averages coming in on Chipotle. So Chipotle should continue higher. We'll see what happens as the week unfolds. Next up is Center Point Energy, which is definitely heading higher. It's got the 5 SMA acting as support. It's got the 20-day following along. We got a nice good spacing between the 20 and the 5. If we can get this 150 to roll over and space the same, we know we're definitely in that uptrend. The 200-day is right here. It's flat, acting as support at the moment, but we want that also to start to curl up. So we can get these going up, and that flat and going over and heading up that way. We know we're in a bullish trend and going to continue going higher. And the next stop is 31.46 to retest that high. But we definitely need our moving averages to continue to flow the way they are. I like the way this is looking though. We can continue to get that moving the way it's moving. It's just so fluid. Alright, it's just going like that. It looks like it wants to go. And then these are kind of doing the same thing. Get that doing like that. Get this one to curl over. Like that. And then get this one to come out here and take off from here. Like that. And we know we're up, heading to the races. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking for a center point to do it. Probably not gonna do, just like that. We might get some coming in here and moving up and pulling back, and but definitely looks like it wants to be bullish, and we're going higher into the end of the year on center point. Okay. I'll clean all this stuff up and be ready for the next rundown next Sunday, and everything will look a little bit better, and we can just straight talk about what we see. Alright, so I'm bullish on Center Point Energy. Keep an eye out for that one. Next up is Coinbase. And Coinbase is been selling off quite a bit here, but now it's starting to turn around. We got the 20-day turning to curl as support. We got the 150 coming over acting as resistance, and we got the 200 that's also going to be acting as resistance. So be careful on Coinbase so we don't get a nice green bar pushing us up here and coming back and retesting this area here. We may just get a failure and continue going lower, and another duplicate of this move here could be in the future for Coinbase. Alright, something like that. Okay, because of that that way we've been moving here. Right. And the only thing that's saving us at this point is that we didn't get rejected by the 20, but we may still get rejected by the 150, like we got rejected by the 20 here. Okay, and then you also have that 200-day here overhead acting as resistance. So yeah, be careful with Coinbase. It looks like it may run into some resistance and get a little sell-off at some point. Okay, so that's Coinbase. Taking longer than I hoped. I don't have to narrow this down. Let's stop. Let's stop there.